This is Mark with MD Dog Training. Spicken the dog. Hit it. Okay, we're here today in a nice medium distraction environment to work Stilton a little bit. There he is. We'll get some focus on him in a sec. We're just going to do a real short video because it looks like it's going to rain. But I just wanted to work on, or just run through something that's really important that I didn't know about until I started really looking into dog training. And I can see lots of people when I'm out and about that don't understand either. Communication is something that we all do every day and we find very easy. It's something that's key to teaching your dog to behave the way that you want it to behave, both in and out of the house. We assume that dogs, when we start rabbiting on at them, we assume that they're going to know very quickly what we're banging on about and what we're not. That's not the case. Dogs are very smart, they're very social, they're very tuned into the pack, and if they see you as a competent leader, they will want to try and please you. But the truth is, it's kind of like, if you imagine, I don't speak Spanish, and if someone was trying to control me while speaking Spanish, I would find it very difficult to understand what they were saying. If they then started adding corrections and punishments and, you know, like spraying my face with water, whacking me on the nose with a newspaper, yanking me around by a lead and shouting in Spanish at me, I'd probably become very nervous very quickly, or I'd become very aggressive very quickly. And it's the same with dogs, only it's worse with dogs because dogs are not humans. So at least if another human being, even if it is a Spanish speaking human being, is trying to communicate with me, they will be able to do gestures and words and some things to try and give me some clues as a fellow human to understand what they're talking about. But a dog is not a human. A dog is not a human. So they don't understand us. So then we have to find a way as thinking creatures to mark in their little brains what it is that we're talking about and what it is that we expect. And so there are a few ways we can do this. There's something called operant conditioning. That's called balanced dog training. Anything else, so that you've got force free, which I personally think is a load of bollocks. I personally think that's a load of bollocks because I think there is zero positive only, no force at all, things that you can do to stop a dog chasing a bird across the road and getting run over. Okay, and getting run over and killed by a car or a truck is the worst thing that can happen to a dog. The very worst thing, because the dog is now dead. Okay, and you cannot compel your dog, you cannot make it a must in your dog's brain to stop chasing a bird into an oncoming car unless you have taught that dog consequences for bad choices. Okay, and that happens through operant conditioning, which is balanced conditioning. Okay, so you've got 4 quarters of the operant square, conditioning square, if you like. You've got reinforcement is 2 quarters, and you've got punishment is 2 quarters. Now on both sides of that 4-quarter square, you have positive and negative, which makes the 4 squares. So you've got positive and negative reinforcement, and you've got positive and negative punishment. Now for the moment, we're going to talk about, just for this video, we're going to talk about reinforcement, and we're going to park punishment for the moment, and we'll cover that in a later video. But with reinforcement, positive and negative, let's make that clear. This is the same with punishment as well, but positive and negative doesn't mean good and bad. Positive means adding something, negative means taking something away. Okay, so positive reinforcement is me taking this, which is something that my dog sees as a high value treat, okay, and it's me saying, sit, yes, I've marked that, and then I give him his ball, and he's done something good, and the way that I mark that in his brain is I make a noise, and it has to be consistent. Now it can be any noise you want. you can pick the noise for your dog. You can make, it can literally be anything. Some people use a clicker, they'll make a click, and that's a really good choice because it's a consistent noise, and that's the key. You've got to make a consistent noise. Now for me with Banger, it's with Banger, that's my other dog, one of my other dogs. For me with Stilton, it's yes, and I try and say it differently to how I usually say it, so with the same tonality, so it marks good behaviour every single time he does it. Okay, now you could make a noise like jump or it really doesn't matter. You can do anything you like, but it has to be consistent. So whatever you don't feel silly doing in public, okay, that's what you got to do. Okay, now the other key to marking in their brain something, so all you're doing when the dog does something that's good, when you make your noise to tell the dog it's done something that's good, all you're doing is you're telling him or her that they're about to get a reward. Okay, that motivates them to want to repeat that behavior, which is the reinforcing aspect of doing this. Okay, so when you mark it, make a noise, you have to mark it in the, like if you wait, if the dog does, if let's say I say sit, the dog sits, and then I wait for 2 or 3 seconds, and then I go yes, like that, or whatever I'm going to do. I've waited too long. Now I'm telling the dog the next thing that it's doing is the thing that I want to mark and tell it it's good for doing. So it might have sat down and I thought, oh yeah, it's done what I asked it to do, and then it starts trotting off and I go yes, and now the dog thinks trotting off is the thing to do. So you've got to mark it. Boom. Now, as far as giving the dog the reward for the thing that you're trying to encourage, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. All that matters in this case is getting the treat or the toy or the reward to the dog before it loses interest. So all the time when you've marked that it's done something good, you've then got to get the treat to it whilst it's still looking at you and still interested in and engaged in what you're doing. Okay, so that's not so important, but the most important thing is marking at the moment they do. And it's the same with when we move on to punishment, exactly the same thing. So if it's done something bad, we want to mark it then and there. And the noise we make then predicts in the dog's brain that it's going to get a little correction. So something to try and discourage it from doing that behaviour again. Okay, but in this case, we're talking reinforcement. So when we say about negative reinforcement, so we've just spoken about positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is taking something away. And in most cases, what we're talking about there is pressure. Now today, Stilton hasn't got his lead on. So let's flick around and have a little look at Stilts, if I can. Sit. Good boy. Down. Good boy. Free. Good boy. Okay, so with Stiltsy today, I'm working with his stim collar rather than using his lead. I will put his lead on when we go back to the car, but right now I've got stim to have control over him. Now with stim we'll work it another day, so we go through what we do another day, but just so you know, this is the negative reinforcement part of training a dog. Okay, so with a stim collar, all you're doing is replicating lead pressure if you've got a lead on. Now, the lead is just as important for communicating with your dog for the negative reinforcement side of training your dog as the treats are to the positive reinforcement side of training your dog. So, what negative, so taking something away, means most of the time is taking pressure away. Okay, so what we do, so with Stilton here, he's having a little wander around. What I'm going to do is I'll wait till he's not taking any notice of me, and then I'll give him a couple of taps on the e-collar. Here we go. Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy. And what that does, I keep tapping, tap, 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 like that, and that adds pressure. And he knows, because he's trained on this, that to take that pressure away, he has to come back to me. So as soon as he starts coming back to me, I release the pressure. And it's the same with a lead. If you've got him on a lead okay? And you can drill this, and we'll work this in another video as well. But if you've got him on a lead, all you need to do is train him so that when he feels pressure, either upwards, that means sit, or this way, it means come closer to me, or this way. So wherever you're taking it, if you put down pressure, whatever you're doing, he learns to switch that pressure off. All he has to do is go with the pressure, and as soon as he goes with the pressure, you turn it off, and then you reward. So you mark that, yes, that is what I want you to do. Okay, so then what happens is you get positive and negative reinforcement working hand in hand to clearly communicate with the dog what is expected of it. So that's it. There's no secret to training dogs. The key is making sure that they have a clue what you're going on about. Okay, you have to give them a clear path to understanding what is and what is not expected of them. So, and that responsibility is with us. Okay, we need to think about what we're doing. We need to learn how to mark in their brains what is good, keep doing that, and what is not good, don't keep doing that. Okay, and if we can work that out for ourselves, and we can drill that into our own brains, and then we can learn to communicate that through the lead at first, and then if we're going on to off lead or stimulation to replace lead pressure when they're not on the lead, then we need to learn how to do that properly. But if we can mark that is good behaviour, that is not good behaviour, then the dog has got a chance of being the kind of dog that you want to own. Okay, that's all for this time. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Oh, like, subscribe and all that shit.